To actually, she comes off very oxymoronic in a way. Initially, she said Mwaure is doing it politically. She's now gone political, and then she goes back and says that politically, whatever he has done is not important. I think she needs to decide if it is political or not.
It is political because he's seeking an appointment.
And that then brings me to another question, to another point on the same, that there's nothing wrong with a political move. We are in a political season, we are doing politics. And it's important to tell everybody out there that politics is important. It's only second after religion. So take politics serious. And I've actually had people use the term political need and interest and everything else as to mean anything negative. It's nothing but negative. Our very life and how we organize our affairs on earth is political. So it will never be actually be used, or rather put to proceed as if it's negative. And then she asked if leadership, if any man of God has ever won, and if the influence they have in church can actually be transferred on this other end. That also is actually a misunderstanding of what leadership is. Sometimes leadership is actually just situational. For example, we're in the studio here, about 8 people, and if a fire started, or rather broke out here, one person, probably Dan, knows how to put off fire, and then he helps us through the drill. During that particular situation, he is our leader. Once we get downstairs, he cannot insist that he's our leader. So leadership has got domains as well, and there are people who come from other places. So transferring the premium or the bonga points in church to the political space could be difficult, but that does not mean that the church has got lesser, or rather the leadership in church is any lesser. Now, talking about the influence, what the church really means in our politics. First of all, God is the best seller of all time. As in, for all eternity, the best seller has always been God. In whatever form, whether it's Allah, whatever, somehow when it comes to that, people have got their names and everything to that. Human beings then make themselves, they choose to deputize that. So as such, the church gives acceptability. A majority of this country still professes Christianity. The church has been part and parcel of the struggle, especially the second liberation. We've seen the Timothy Njoyas of this world. The church are also microcosms of development of politics. Actually, religion is politics by another name. So you can't dismiss. And the results in this particular election can actually point to you that the church has actually come of age, and you don't need to mess with it. You cannot push the church around, and you cannot wish them around. Because literally, when you talk about acceptability, you talk about how the church actually builds. I was running. Of course, I didn't lose. No one loses in this country.
Not a loser.
Ni kura tu hazitoshi. So ule mwenye kura zake zilitosha ndiye alipewa kiti. Lakini so anyway, that was a right note. So I was actually just talking about when you go to church, number one, you get free mobilization. Number two, when people go to church, people in church or in any religious setting do not ask a lot of questions. So if you are accepted within that umbrella, people tend to think of you, first of all. You know, I went to Prophet Awards gathering in Jamhuri Park.
Right.
I can tell you there is no politician in this country, unless they have joined their hands together and they have gone to Uhuru Park, who has got such like a gathering. Right. You can't get that gathering easily. So that is influence. And it's about the people's socioeconomic affairs anyway. And that particular man of God can actually give direction to his people. If you stood, for example, in that particular congregation, and Prophet Mwaure said to his people that this man takes care of that. Probably we are not necessarily, this sitting is not competent enough to talk about church and politics. But I will actually just tell you that even biblically, it is always the prophet, which now the church represents, who used to anoint the king. So there's just, we can't really wish them away. So as of Mwaure, what he did, like I said, is symbolic. He did not endorse anyone. He just called the election and indicated to the people. That is a sign of good leadership. That when you exit, you cannot leave your people to gaze where they are going. He just told you that I didn't win, but from how things look like, this is going to be your next leader. And that is actually a fair thing. He just told them that on that particular end, that is the new leader of our nation.
But then looking back at, some of the statements he's made, I think one of the things he said was, you know, in this process of me hoping to get to that top seat, is, you know, where tutaondoa wezi tuchague mpya, you know, so, you know, and pointing, you know, very critical finger at, you know, particularly the other two leaders who are front runners. And then at the end of it all, now you're back here, you know, endorsing one of the leaders you claimed, you know, was not fit for leadership.